this summer.
This summer.
Coming up
Give
soon.
a rundown again about. You gave me such a great descriptive, animated, idea of how this whole thing came to be. He bought contraptions off of old naval ships, radiation devices.
That's John Hutchison.
John Hutchison.
Who we have on the
yes.
phone.
Yes. It's John, I'm ignoring John. John, I'm ignoring
Even though it's all about John.
You don't exist.
John was not able to continue his experiments at home because when he would turn these devices on, which were on naval ships,
Right.
you can imagine the whole condominium starts shaking. Yes, it all starts to come apart. So people, his next door neighbor with the curlers is over on his door, like, hey, what's going on? What's going on?
John, what do your neighbors think of you?
Oh, what my neighbors think of me?
Yeah.
They haven't come in yet with torches or anything to burn me out, but they start blaming me if something happens, like doors opening by themselves or dishes falling down. And they actually go to the news media and report this, and I get copies of the reports from some of the people that lived in here, as well as several blocks away too. So I have a collection of.
You remember that commercial for I think it was for Mako, where the guy's like in his garage and he's like, "Honey, what does this switch do?" And he keeps switching it on and off, and it's not doing anything. And then 2 doors down, the neighbor's garage is like slamming down. So John's doing the same kind of chaotic stuff.
And John, you have like a big following. I mean, do people kind of, I guess, seek you out and go to your place and knock on your door, and you're like, "Oh, okay, who are you?"
Well, I need an agent because it's the manager of the building has turned away about 40 people already every month. It's getting more and more heavy, and the phone calls come in all the time. So because my older TV shows I've done start airing in other countries, and then the ones I just did, they'll like air a month from now or are airing right now.
No, if I was your neighbor, I would threaten my kids. If you don't behave, John's going to melt the swing set, and then you don't want your swing set melted. That's what you might be getting some of those. Hey, can you levitate my child? He's been a brat. Hey. No.
So you can levitate objects. Can you levitate a person?
We don't know that. We never tried that experiment.
Liquefies, dude.
It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So it has to be
This
an
is
object.
part of what we need to refine. We need to refine. We need to.
I have Chris Angel like processing in my head for some reason. I'm
That's
just
an
thinking
illusionist.
Vegas.
He's an illusionist.
Yeah, that's
Chris
true.
Angel, and he's an entertainer. It's not real, and everybody knows it's not
And he
real.
talks funny. Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the card right here. Watch the ace card. I'm gonna make sure it's
I could talk too.
Let me ask you a question.
John's got to be on an episode of a Chris Angel one. So, anyone that works for Chris Angel, whatever, productions, you got to contact John Hutchison, because that would be like kind of the battle of the, I don't even know what you call that.
I could see him using
Seriously?
something. No, I agree with
Are you
you.
watching? Are you watching? Watch your legs. Watch your legs. Watch. Is it? Watch. Are you watching this? You know who also is really weird what's the other guy's name? David Blaine. No, David Blaine.
Oh.
He's always stoned.
He's so BS
And he's
though.
not actually. I think he's real, dude. There's something weird about him.
The way he tells the story
levitates.
is not as good as Chris Angel.
Well, he's very mellow.
Chris Angel seems real, even though he's not.
Are you watching the card? Are you watching? Check this out. It's weird.
I
It's really
don't
weird.
like the way he
Do you know that
talks.
all these
Kinda
things can be
creepy.
found in the back of a comic book? All these
Comic book?
Yes, my father used to do the same. All these things that David Blaine does. Yeah, I was like watching.
He
Like
levitates.
the cigarette through the quarter. My father had that.
Really?
All these tricks that he does. My
John, do you
father
help him
did.
with his levitation? Do you help David
No.
Blaine? Let me ask you, forget about that for a second. You don't have to answer because the magician doesn't want to give up his tricks. But what I want to ask you is this. The Philadelphia experiment in the 50s that took place on a naval ship. If you guys don't know about this, do you know about the Philadelphia experiment, Deanna?
No.
I was wondering recreations.
John's like, yes, I do. Of course you do. I know you do.
I replicated right here on a miniature ship, a foot long. I also did the Ark of the Covenant for Blue Book Films.
So this is what I want, because a lot of people might not know. I didn't know. Actually, Robert educated me on what the Philadelphia experiment is. So, Michelle, do you have any inclination?
No, but I like the name.
Okay, well, it's a
Tell
cool
us.
name for a band, right?
Yeah,
Philadelphia
exactly.
Experiment. So it's actually the Roots drummer's Questlove. That's the name of his band, the Philadelphia
okay.
Experiment. So don't steal it.
This was an experiment that took place in the 50s.
Yeah.
And they used a large naval ship. And they turned the generators on there to full blast. I think it was over 1 million watts. And the ship was able to disappear. And that's what they was able to create a cloaking device around it. But what happened?
Well, let me elaborate, because when you said that, I knew exactly what happened. You know what happened? It creates this kind of like field that reflects the light of the sun. So it's still there. You just can't see it because there's a kind of like a field that reflects the light of the sun, right? When I'm looking at you, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the light reflecting off of whatever is you. So this is what happens in the Philadelphia experiment. But as a result, though, everyone died.
They didn't all die. They didn't take into account what would happen to the men's minds, their psyches, being on the ship and witnessing these tremendous things happening before them. So some of them were insane. Some of them were embedded in the.
Some of them jellified, right?
Some of them jellified. Some of them were half in the shield in the ship,
metal?
in the metal of the ship, the bulkheads.
So they did it while people were actually on the ship?
Yeah,
what were
it's
they
stupid.
thinking?
It's the
Hello?
50s.
It's the
They didn't
military
think
okay, I was
too.
gonna
Men are
say, oh
in
my
the military.
God.
Men are expendable.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so John is actually recreating the Philadelphia experiment, right?
With
Yes.
no people, I
With no
hope.
people.
Okay, good.
That's correct. We're going to be using a ship out here at
You
Long
should
Beach.
you should do the experiment on an Indian casino, because as we said last week, they really don't count as whole people. So you should basically do this to an Indian casino and see what happens, and maybe
listen,
do
you
the
are
Republicans a
just
favor.
Once again, I'm glad we're not.
97.1
Indian
Free
reservations.
FM. We're Your Money's Worth is the show. Deanna Ryan Michelle. We've got Robert Drake in studio and John Hutchison, scientist from Canada, calling in. And he's not an illusionist, you guys.
No. That's
correct.
He's a real scientist. This
Right.
isn't just a card tricks. This is like intense stuff.
can see it all
floating
on YouTube.
bowling balls and
You go
things.
on
Yeah,
I mean,
YouTube,
this is,
and we're taking your calls at 888-520-9710. And let's take a call right now from Mike from Irvine. Mike, you there?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Good. You have a question for John or Robert?
Yeah, I have a question. I just want to also mention something. I don't know if you guys watched a show on History Channel a while back. The Germans are also this anti-gravity, and then obviously when the war ended, they had this facility in a cave somewhere in Germany, I think, and then they blew it up and caved in. Maybe Mr. Drake or Mr. Hutchison know about this also.
Yes, I do. It's called the Nazi Bell Experiments. It was covered by History Channel and by Nick Cook as host.
Yeah.
A very interesting story back in the 1940s.
Yeah, and then they were talking to a witness, I think, one of the scientists that used to work there. And from what he remembers, there was some kind of a blue light or ultraviolet lights that we're experimenting with.
That's right. That's from the Mercury rotational.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Mr. Drake, I have a question. I have some ideas myself. Obviously, I don't want to disclose it. It's nothing really scientific.
Right.
Would you recommend a company or inventor place where I can explore this more and someone trustable?
Give me a call. 774-1694. 818. And I
Wait,
will.
get it. Do you have a pen to write that down?
And let me tell you something about Robert. He will not steal your ideas. I had an idea that I shared with him. It was my idea for a show called Pimp My Mailbox. And it was basically like Pimp My Ride, but basically pimping out
Yeah, I
mailboxes.
left it alone.
And he left it alone.
Yeah,
and so he
I
didn't
did.
steal it.
Probably
so
a wise
I didn't
idea.
touch it.
a gold mine like that, he was
I offered him
entrusted
M80.
with, so.
All right, give him your number one more time.
Area code 818 774 1694.
1694.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you, guys.
Bye. All right.
So, John, what's the, how do you challenge yourself? Do you wake up in the morning, let's put something in the toaster and explode it or something? Like, what do you, what's your next, how do you think of, what's my next thing I'm going to try to recreate or develop or something?
Well, I'm always working on different things, and I also got regular life to deal with, which is a lot of fun, and it's got its own adventures. So I only give fire this equipment up for television crews when they come in here.
Okay.
John does a
And
lot of speaking.
scientists.
A lot of speaking engagements in Japan and all over the world.
I would love to come with our camera crew and meet you up in weed smoking Vancouver and
That'd be rocking.
and film some of your experiment if that's at all possible.
Oh, always.
All right, well,
It's a done
Door's
deal.
always open to film people, and they average maybe per year 12 groups from different divisions. The longest in production I was with was Blue Book Films, the Ark of the Covenant, which I recreated here in New West and almost leveled a building with that one. But it's another story for another time, I think.
all right.
We'd love to have you back on the show. Give us a website where we can check your experiments out on, I guess you said YouTube, right? John Hutchison?
YouTube or www.hutchisoneffect.ca or American Anti-Gravity or, just go to my blog site. There's all the latest and greatest pictures of wild things happening there. So
You're on MySpace, and if you do a search for John Hutchison, that's Hutchison, Hutchison, John, John, you'll find like thousands of links and all that. So
That's correct.
But don't
pretty easy.
get too close to your computer. Something might happen.
All right, John. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you later, eh?
Don't go away. We
Okay,
got some calls
hey.
coming up. Don't go away.
a pleasure.
To get on the air, call 520-9710 or 888-520-9710. This is Your Money's Worth on 97.1 Free FM. Now, back to your money's worth with LA radio girl Deanna Despot, Michelle Parisi, and Ryan Tomlinson.
All right, we are back. Your money's worth. 97.1 FM, streaming live on fortunemarket.net. We have a whole bunch of phone callers. We only have time to take one. This guy in particular says that he actually visited John Hutchison, and John Hutchison is no longer with us. Robert Drake and them, they left the studio, but we just had a guy on here on the show, for those of you just tuning in, who said he created anti-gravity. He made with experiments. He was able to lift and levitate things and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
And it's documented like on video too, so it's somewhat legit.
His name is John Hutchison, and you can go to YouTube, and I'm going to take a call from, what is it, Tom? Mm-hmm. Tom, here you go. What's up, buddy?
Hi, how are you?
Good. You were there at his house?
Yes, I was visiting John during Christmas time.
Are you a friend or a stalker or?
Well, I was just curious.
You're a stalker.
Really
Okay,
worked.
tell us about your experience.
You're a stalker. You dubbed him a stalker already.
Yeah, look at. Okay, John, what happened?
Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Well, I was just fascinated by learning of the effects of anti-gravity. And basically, during Christmas time, I asked John if I could come over and just watch it or film it. And, you know, he turned on the equipment, and there were some effects taking place. And afterwards, I experienced some of the effects actually affected me personally. It was extremely bizarre, strange, odd feeling.
What happened? Did you see anything levitate? Did anything levitate?
Well, there was many objects moving in John's lab, and I got it videotaped. But somehow the effects actually I could experience on my own after coming home. The effect was kind of building up over the period of time, and
Tom, let me ask you, when you walked into this house with this experiment, were you wearing like a lead suit and a radioactive like mask or something to protect you?
No protective gear?
You were wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt and sandals when you walked in.
I was just perhaps curious and brave.
You're nuts is what it's called.
Did you puke?
Not so smart.
Not so smart, yes.
Did you throw up? Was there any kind of like involuntary bowel movements or anything that happened?
Not at all, not at all.
Hey, describe his, really quick before we let you go, describe his pad. So he lives in what, a condo?
Well, it's a very small apartment. I mean, it's probably small because it's 90% filled with electronic devices and equipment. So it's like a submarine type of apartment.
Wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
So you were pretty impressed with this thing. Do you think that there's any I guess practical application for what he's doing?
Well, for sure. There's no doubt about it. You know, there's a whole world of skeptics out there, and my idea was just to videotape it because I actually believed it. You know, it made a lot of sense to me, but I have many friends who just don't believe it or don't want to believe it. So
is your video on YouTube at all?
No, I will be posting on YouTube, definitely, as soon as I'm done with editing.
Well, I'm really glad you called in and you shared a personal experience. You were there, and then you're testifying to the fact that he has something crazy, and there's something to be said. I guess everyone listening, keep a lookout for John Hutchison, and if you see something floating past you, you know, maybe it's the real deal. And thank you for your call, Tom. I appreciate it.
No problem. Bye-bye.
You know what? If all this anti-gravity stuff is cool,